Hello Vegan Prism, good morning, and today we are at the RMJ Horse Sanctuary, and with us here we have Corinne and who's this?
Perfect Jane.
Perfect Jane? Okay, how sweet. And how old is Perfect Jane?
She is 9.
She is 9, oh sweet. And how old is that in horse?
In terms of a horse's lifespan, it's quite young.
Alright.
So horses live up to their 20s. We have one who's even 35, so they have quite a long lifespan. In terms of their racing lifespan, they're nearing the end.
Alright.
But then afterwards, unless obviously something happens, they have many years left in them. So at 9 you consider her young.
Yeah, I mean 9 out of 25, that's not even 40 years old in human years.
Still
amazing. So what is RMJ and what does RMJ stand for?
RMJ, it doesn't stand for anything. RMJ is the name of one of the first horses that I had, who's still alive. So it's his actual name, it's not short for anything, because many people think it's short for something.
Yes.
It's the name of one of the first horses I had, who's around 22 now.
22,
so he's getting old.
And how long has been RMJ going on?
So RMJ has been a proper NGO for around 3 years now. Before that I still used to rescue horses, but one at a time, just individually.
Okay.
But we've been an organization for 3 years.
Alright, and this obvious love of horses that you have, where did it start from? How long has it been going?
I don't have anyone in my family who's into horses, so it's just me. But I've loved horses ever since I remember, so I started riding when I was 7, so I'm now 27, so 20 years have passed.
Alright, okay. And when it comes to the first horse that you rescued, you mentioned RMJ. Can you tell us a bit something about the story behind it? RMJ
was one of the frequent. He was basically just abandoned, kind of. And I was still around 15 at the time. So he was already taken in by another organization, and then I adopted him. And then from there started the whole venture to keep on rescuing the horses. Character-wise, it was a bit difficult in the beginning, so we had some hard times.
Of course.
But now, obviously, even due to his age, he's 22. He's settled now.
How sweet, how sweet. And I imagine most of the horses you take in, you try and find new homes for them as much as possible.
Rehoming is a very big part of what we do. Obviously, horses, even more so than dogs and cats, take up much more space. So we're much more limited. I mean, we have around 35 horses at the moment.
Wow.
35, I mean, it might not sound like such a big number, but 35 horses, I mean, each individual horse needs a stable inside, needs a paddock, an outside area. They take up a lot of time, they need exercise, etc., cleaning, and also even money-wise, I mean, each one of these horses costs around 300 euros per month to maintain. So obviously, unless we rehome, we kind of cannot continue with the work. Rehoming is important because we do get a lot of calls to take in new horses. So, for example, October, which is one of our busiest months, we got around 25. We had around 25 horses. 25 horses in 1 month, which kind of needed a new home. They would have finished their racing careers, most of them, and sort of would need to move on. So obviously rehoming is important. We struggle to rehome locally. There's a bit of a problem. Malta is very limited in space.
Of course.
So obviously very few people have their own place where to keep a horse. Once you don't have your own place, that means that you need to rent a stable, and there are places where you can rent a stable, but then obviously the financial costs, the financial part of keeping the horse is higher, and then many people struggle financially. So we do find it a problem to find homes in Malta, which is why we rehome abroad.
You managed to rehome them abroad?
So at the moment we have rehomed 34 abroad this year, and we're hoping to send another 6 by the end of the year to make it 40. The problem with it's quite easy for us to find homes abroad for them because many of the horses are like her, so relatively young, still got lots of life left in them, can be ridden, etc. But the problem then is the transport, because it costs us an average of €2,000 per horse to send them abroad. So then we fundraise a lot to cover
and
those.
Hopefully, even the person who wants the adoption, hopefully it helps
as well. And we're even kind of slowly introducing even the racing sort of side. Are taking responsibility and are helping us out as well.
Right, that's good.
Kind of, it takes time to sort of implement certain ideas, but slowly they're starting to see that, you know, it is part of their responsibility that after the racing career is finished, they help us to make sure that their horses get to a safe home. Unfortunately, what we have against us is the number of horses being brought into Malta against the number of homes which we can find locally. So there's a huge difference.
Most likely, if they don't manage to find a sanctuary where they can be retired.
I mean, with retired horses, it's a problem. So, like I said, most of them don't need complete retirement. They need retirement from racing.
All right, okay.
But you know, as leisure horses, and they can be trained for different sports, they're fine. When you have horses which need complete retirement, it's even more difficult because they generally need a field, and fields in Malta are lacking.
Very much so, yes.
Likely. No, unfortunately, if the other alternative, unless a home is found, is that a lot of them are slaughtered. Yes. So we try as much as possible to, you know, counteract that.
Yes.
Sort of, as much as possible, we try and get them quickly off the track. So from the track, they come directly to us, so that they will still be in good condition and therefore easier for us to rehome.
Yes.
Most of the horses that come to us do come in that condition, you know, racing fit condition, so they're healthy and fine. Then we do get a couple of neglect cases, we call them. These are horses, all of them, none of them come directly from the racing side. They are usually horses which would have found a home already, not through us. And they end up then in the wrong hands, or being shuffled from one person to the other. No one's responsible for them, and then they come to us in bad shape. But we don't have that many. We try and sort of get them directly. When a person adopts a horse, then basically, I mean, the horse is theirs as long as he's well looked after. We have had cases, very few, but we have had cases where we had to take them back.
Yes. Unfortunately, these things happen.
In the most part, the horses are well looked after. What we find happens a lot locally is that when certain circumstances change, the person can no longer keep the horse, especially being that the horse takes up so much time and money. As soon as some circumstances change, they can no longer keep the horse, and they always come back to us. So that is one of the sort of rules of adopting a horse from us, that if something changes, they have to come back.
Alright, okay. Stealing the camera. Hey, hot stuff. Here we can see on the bridle here, hot stuff, that's why I call it.
Perfect Jane is actually her racing name, so she came with it. We didn't give her that name, but it suits her.
Okay.
Because she thinks she's quite perfect.
I'm sure she does. And she is in her own way. What's a typical day here at the sanctuary?
A typical day, during the week, some of our members are up early before work to come and feed the horses. We feed the horses, they'll be in their stable, we feed them and put them outside in their paddocks, give them hay, etc. Then usually everyone's off to work, and then we're back after work, so at around 3 in the afternoon, and then we'll have till around 8, 9 at night, cleaning out their stables, exercising the horses which can be exercised, feeding, etc. That's a typical day here. Then obviously checking out new horses needing a home, checking horses which have already been rehomed. It's like a full-time job.
Of course, it's like having a full-time job.
Except we don't get paid.
Yes. But it's, as everyone can imagine, I mean, it's very important where, I mean, just Perfect Jane here is just one example of the, you said 35 horses?
We had this month, we have 35 here, but since we're always rehoming, past month of October, we dealt with 25 horses to be rehomed, and on average, in a year, we deal with close to 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how can people, for example, people seeing us here, how can they help RMJ?
So there are many ways. I mean, we always welcome new volunteers, even if they don't have experience. A lot of our current team members started out with no experience. We teach them slowly.
Yes.
Then obviously we adapt the horses that they handle at the beginning, so they're the quieter ones. So we do welcome new volunteers who will come and spend time with the horses and help us with the day-to-day work. People who cannot volunteer, they can donate, sponsor, feed and care for the horse. A lot of the fundraisers that we do, like I said, go for transport.
You have a sponsorship program?
We'll have a sponsorship program, depending on what everyone can handle. We do understand that a lot of people cannot adopt a horse and take on the full commitment, but they can help out. We also have here a number of what we call permanent residents. These are horses, not like Jane, so they would be horses which are either older or have more serious injuries, and for some reason or another it's sort of, they stay with us, they're not really rehomeable.
Of course.
So, you know, people can sponsor them, pay for part of their feed and care, come and help us look after them without the full commitment of adopting a horse. And then those people that feel that, you know, they might have the chance, I mean, they can come and speak to us, and we usually guide people, especially if they haven't had a horse before. There were people that thought that they didn't have the option of adopting, but, you know, slowly, sort of, they moved towards that step.
Alright, okay. And what's the future of RMJ, the near future? Where do you see yourself?
We plan to obviously continue what we're doing. We do want to increase our work sort of with other even organizations, children, etc., because horses are very therapeutic.
Yes,
so
very much, yes.
Even just spending time with them. Basically, it's from year to year, we always challenge ourselves to save more the next year. So like I said, we try and save as many as possible, so we try and bridge the gap between the horses finishing from racing or not being wanted anymore and the horses going to slaughter. We try and as much as possible diminish the number that slip through us.
Even one life is valuable. Very important.
And also we try and send even more horses abroad. Rehoming abroad is important for us because otherwise, like I said, locally there just isn't enough homes.
How was the farthest place that you've been?
They've been to England and Scotland. They've been to Spain. They've been to Sicily. They've been to Sweden and they've been to Lithuania. So
wow, I would like to be a horse.
Yeah, they're quite globetrotters because these horses, most of them, almost all of them, are either originally imported to Malta from France or Sweden.
Of course.
Sometimes they would have even raced in another country, so they travel a lot. But then once they retire, then that would be there forever.
Yes, they're fine. Well, as you can see, very important work done here by the RMJ. Perfect, Jane. I'm sure she agrees with every word of it. And if you can maybe donate some time or even help sponsor one of these beautiful horses, look up RMJ Horse Sanctuary on their Facebook page. Otherwise, for today, thank you, Corinne. And if you have any ideas or comments, put them in the sections below. And otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.